I know there is a bit of a supply and demand problem for Nazis. The supply of them does not meet the demand for all the people who want to give them what for, which, obviously I'm no fan of actual Nazis, so,
Yeah.
you want to give them what for, fair enough. However, this has led to lots of innocent people who are not Nazis being publicly accused of being them, which destroys their reputation and their life.
Sorry to interrupt. There is one example that bucks the rule there.
Mhm.
There was plenty of supply for Nazis for Hassan Piker.
Oh, really?
Remember? For Sam Hyde.
Oh, yeah. But worry not. I've solved this supply and demand crisis. There is a supply crisis going on at the minute.
What are you doing?
I found some Nazis, Callum.
Oh, right. You haven't created any, right?
I formed a new group. No.
No, I found a group.
I found a group, and that is the Scottish National Party, who are, of course, self-declared National Socialists, like their mid-century German equivalent. So, what has happened recently that has made me want to make this new segment is this. Nicola Sturgeon's plan for rape cases compared to Nazi jury trial ban. So
this isn't just you being like, I don't like them, they're Nazis. Like,
No.
there actually is comparisons here that are
Well,
valid.
the SNP has real links with the actual Nazi party, like the real Nazi party, which I will get onto.
Alba, Uber, others, I guess.
So, it reads as follows. Nicola Sturgeon's plan to scrap jury trial for rape cases would see Scotland follow in the footsteps of the Nazis, the country's senior female lawyer has warned. That's not concerning whatsoever, is it?
What was the SNP response? Yes, we know, or...
Get back in the chamber. Frances McMenamin, KC, the most senior woman at the Scottish Bar, said that she had grave concerns over the proposals that would see judges decide guilt in rape allegations and for other serious sexual crimes, and claimed they would impact the rights of every citizen in the country. Of course they would. A Scottish Government consultation has raised the prospect of abolishing juries for serious sexual offences such as rape and attempted rape, which have far lower conviction rates than other offences. So if you just abolish fair trials, you'll get more convictions. This is how the Scottish people do it, apparently. Yes. Just convict innocent people if your figures are too low.
Yeah, I mean, the dealing with rape in this nation is terrible, but just convicting innocent people, I don't think will solve it. I think can't say that, John.
It carries on to say the Lord Advocate, Dorothy Bain, has backed the idea of a pilot, claiming radical action was needed to help clear a backlog of cases which she said was disproportionately harming women and girls. However, Miss McMenamin said removing democratic participation from the criminal justice system would affect not only those accused of serious crimes, but equally affects the rights of every citizen in Scotland. Of course it does. She claimed that a move away from trial by jury would invite comparisons with repressive authoritarian regimes, citing Nazi Germany and Communist China as other places to move away from juries. And I'm quoting directly here, even other countries not so historically associated with democratic traditions and institutions are turning towards a jury system, such as Argentina and Bulgaria, Miss McMenamin, a member of an expert Scottish Government group on the management of sexual offences, told the Sunday Post. China's new national security law aimed at suppressing Hong Kong's democracy movement is abolishing trial by jury. Comparison to China is not one which Scotland should court by removing the current jury system only for sexual offence cases.
Well, it's a serious crime, so it should be taken seriously. And
Yes.
therefore, you need a jury to make sure the guy's actually guilty.
Absolutely.
Like,
You can
it's
ruin
not
someone's
justice
life.
to lock up the wrong person.
It's not like people have ever been falsely accused before, is it? Why are you making that face? We know for a fact they have in some cases.
Are we allowed to say it?
Yes.
Do you remember, what was it, Mattress Girl? Remember her?
No?
So in America, I don't know if they changed this now, but at the time, there's no... If you're a woman and you accuse a man of raping you, it's complete BS. And it's proven in court it's BS. You face no recompense. You would just walk away from that trial and that guy's life you tried to ruin, and nothing happens to you as a woman. And Mattress Girl was a lady who walked around on college with a mattress on her back, and she was saying about how she'd been gang raped and the university wasn't taking it seriously. She was holding this mattress to make the point. Nothing happened. Nothing. The entire football team or whatever she accused of gang raping her, their entire lives were ruined, their careers were ruined, and nothing had happened. It's just unbelievable the level some women will go to.
Yeah, it is a bit depressing, isn't it? Obviously, if someone is guilty, they deserve to be buried underneath the prison, right?
Yeah.
I've got no sympathy for the guilty people, but when someone's accused of it when they're innocent, it ruins their life.
And the worst thing being in that American case, she walked away scot-free. Legally, nothing could be done to her.
So it carries on, and I quote again, "Even worse, Scotland should not risk further comparison with Hitler, who, in 1933, in response to his dissatisfaction at the Reichstag fire trial, in which all but one of the accused were acquitted, abolished trial by jury and set up the People's Court." This was a special court set up outside of the operations of constitutional frame of law, whose president almost always sided with the prosecution and in which there was no presumption of innocence. I mean, whoever this lady is spot on. I mean, credit to you for speaking out. I think the comparison is also...
Scottish political conversations have reduced to, should we be like the Nazis? Are they the baddies?
Well, let's go to history and find out what the Scots think of the actual Nazis, more particularly the SNP. SNP links to Adolf Hitler and fascism revealed in new political anthology. This is an article from The Express talking about a book talking about the SNP links to the actual mid-century German Nazi party, the real deal. So I'm going to read from this article. For the majority of the new supporters who have flocked to the party in recent years, the nationalists represent a shining beacon of progressive, forward-thinking democracy. However, these new converts to the cause would no doubt be shocked by the SNP's historic links to Adolf Hitler, fascism and the Nazis, both before and during the Second World War. The founding member, not singular, there were multiple, Andrew Dewar Gibb, who became the second chairman of the party in 1934, frequently quoted Hitler in his public speeches. Gibb was clearly sympathetic to Nazism as a bulwark against communism, or at least as the lesser of two evils, and shared its anti-Semitic anxieties, even if he did not support its approach to dealing with them. That's that's an interesting caveat, let's just say that. Although Gibb gave his backing to Winston Churchill when war was declared, he admitted in his diary, "I don't care who wins," and offered to resign at a party meeting in Edinburgh, saying he made no secret of my distinct fascist leanings. He was replaced by the journalist William Power, who had previously argued that the overthrow of Hitlerism was not legitimate before he in turn was replaced by the socialist firebrand Douglas Young. Young was strongly opposed to the war and led the campaign against conscription on the basis that Westminster had no legal right to order Scots into battle. This stance saw him jailed after a sensational trial, and he began his leadership of the party from behind bars.
Yeah, you'll notice all the incestuous relationship there. It's not a surprise that the SNP are, as they put it, progressives. Like, this is all the same wheelhouse. Like, you have that fascist there who was immediately replaced with the socialist who's got the same goals.
Yes.
Like, yeah, this is different brands of socialism.
Absolutely.
Like, and the Nazis, as Tick has pointed out, are just race socialists. And the modern-day SNP are just taking on the expansion of socialism, so it doesn't just include class, but now race and gender and sex and blah, 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 etc. as well. It's not really changed.
No.
It's just expanded.
But wait, there's more. Here is an article from The Scotsman. MI5 file links former SNP leader to Nazi plan. So, as if that wasn't enough links.
Well, yeah, it could be a Nazi plan to play Connect 4. I don't know why I'm playing devil's advocate.
You're defending Scottish Nazis now. Ooh.
Someone's got to be their lawyer.
So,
I'm like at the Nuremberg trial. Like, well, I got to take the case. Pays well.
You got to pay the bills. MI5 file on Mr. Donaldson, who led the SNP from 1961 to 1969, claims that he conspired to set up a Vichy-style regime with himself as a Scottish quisling in the wake of Hitler's widely anticipated invasion. In 1941, Mr. Donaldson revealed to a close confidant, who was also a British agent...
My client believed that Vichy was German for Connect 4.
Ah, yes, of course.
I'm going to stop playing the lawyer now then.
So he told this British agent that a network of Nazi sympathisers were planning to undermine the war effort. His United Scotland movement was said to be contemplating spreading confusion by false reports and minor acts of sabotage, and is in fact now endeavouring to start a whispering campaign to spread rumours, particularly of shipping losses. Mr. Donaldson told the agent that he believed the German invasion would be a success, And I quote here, "The government would leave the country and England's position would be absolutely hopeless, as poverty and famine would be their only reward for declaring war on Germany. Scotland, on the other hand, has great possibilities," Mr. Donaldson is recorded as saying. The movement in Scotland must...
for a moment just how autistic that cat sounds. Like, we're going to start a whispering campaign about shipping losses. As if this dude is going to walk from shop to shop going, "I hear the shipping's bad." Yeah, demoralise them. Do it more.
There wasn't much to talk about in the 40s.
Yeah, but it's just such a... Like, I know, we did a book club on active measures, and a lot of, like, Secret Service campaigns are really weird. But like to walk around, like, there's some guy who keeps walking around the village telling everyone that we're losing more ships than the newspapers say. I think he might be a German spy. Sorry.
Just going up to someone in, like, the grocery shop, just like, "So, did you hear?
More
ship sunk. We've got no tea towels now."
They
all
reported
gone.
10 ships, it's actually 20. Sorry. Complete derail, but...
Where was I? He carries on to say, "The movement in Scotland must then be able to show the German government that it is organised and has a clear-cut policy that is not with England in the war. The German government will give them every possible assistance in their early struggle, and when fire and confusion is at its height in England, the movement can start in earnest." And then it carries on to say, "Senior MI5 officer Lieutenant Colonel Dick Bruman White believed that Mr. Donaldson was planning to follow the lead of Vidkun Quisling, who led a puppet government in Norway. In 1941, Mr. Donaldson was among a number of nationalist figures to be arrested under suspicion of subversive activities." Sorry. So I think those whispers might have been a bit too loud. Just saying.
Just start shouting about it.
This Scottish man was just like, "I hate the English. Love me Germans."
I just like...
I don't know why he's a northerner now.
That too. Can you do a Scottish accent for him?
Of course I can, but I feel a bit strange doing a Scottish accent because half of my family are Scottish, and I don't want to associate them with the Nazis.
Well, I mean, the ruling party are doing that. I think it's a bit late.
That's true. To be fair, all of my Scottish family have fled Scotland, and I remember asking my granddad, "So why did you leave Scotland?" And he's just like, "Well, England's like Scotland, but better in every way."
Oof.
Which is, in terms of pure living conditions, objectively true.
I don't know at
Although
this point.
I have a large amount of affinity for Scotland and the poor Scottish people that are living under this terrible regime.
I was looking at where to flee from England, and I did not think of Scotland for a second. Like, it looks lovely. It's just...
it's beautiful countryside.
With the SNP in charge, I'm just like, that's not stable. Not picking that.
I like the people. I like the countryside. Don't like the government.
Yeah.
That's my 2 cents on the matter. But moving to modern times, we have Nicola Sturgeon in charge now, and she definitely has no links to the Nazis whatsoever. Oh wait, Nicola Sturgeon's Nazi chandelier back in spotlight as new evidence emerges about her Butte House war booty. So she has, in her own personal home, a chandelier that was looted from Nazi Germany. And it stands proudly in the middle of her home. And in fact, this is the chandelier in which she stands underneath to take pictures with world leaders. So the chandelier is like a third person in it.
I feel like
features in all of them.
This is a bit of a reach.
No, obviously.
I love the idea that she's like secretly, because you can see the chandeliers in the image, in the mirror of every image she takes. So it's just the idea that like secretly she's like, haha, I'm hiding my power level.
I bet if you peel back those paintings, there's secretly pictures of Hitler. No, obviously this is a bit of a stretch, and I think the chandelier was actually in the house before she bought it. So
well, that's why she bought it. Huh?
I think to be fair, I don't think you need to research the history of your chandeliers before buying a house. So I think ignorance is fair enough here, but I just thought it was funny and a bit of meme magic, so I had to mention it. But yes, obviously not fair. Although you may remember a man who taught his pug to do a Nazi salute. I'm sure you're familiar with the man.
No idea, really.
I think he's got some sort of Eastern European sounding name. Count something. Count
Chocula, or I don't know.
Count Dracula, is it?
Yeah.
No, I think it's Count Dankula, yeah. That guy.
His wife, Hulk.
Yes, Count Dankula, also known as Mark Meacham, of course, was fined by the Scottish government after he tried to play a prank on his wife, I think.
Who looks very annoyed, so...
Yes. I imagine if the entire Scottish press were weighing down on you, you'd be annoyed as well. But yes, the premise was, of course, if you've lived under a rock these past few years, that she said to him, there's nothing that the pug can do not to be cute. So then he decided to teach the pug to do something that wasn't cute and teach it to Sieg Heil, which, of course, is not supportive of the Nazis in any way. In fact, it's antithetical.
Because a pug is like a genetic mess. and the Nazis are like, yeah, with genetic purity, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, wait, this pug represents you.
I was more going to go along the lines of the fact that he was trying to do something that isn't cute, which is the Sieg Heil.
But it's also to make a pug do it is like some kind of brilliance. Because like if you want genetic dead end and genetic mistake for a dog, I mean, a pug is it. They just sit there, like they're barely alive.
That's a good impression, actually.
Yeah, like it's there's a lot of layers to the joke.
But yes, I believe he was fined £800, threatened with prison, I think. But yeah,
well, he was arrested and sent to jail for a little bit.
So yes, this was a bit of a strong reaction to a joke. Seems like the SNP are a little bit sensitive to criticising the Nazis, isn't it?
Yep, none of them stood up for him.
Do you know what else happened? Well, of course you do, because you told me about this. But in Nazi Germany, they pursued a man who taught his dog to salute Hitler. A Finnish dog, that is. So, again, not a German dog, but a Finnish man. So,
yeah.
This is...
I think he did it with a German Shepherd or something, didn't he? Trying to remember.
I think there's a picture of it. It's wearing sunglasses.
Oh, look at it. He looks a good boy. That's actually nice. I like the doggy.
So the article reads, Finnish dog, which gave the Nazi salute, so annoyed German World War II government that it launched a campaign against its owner. Torborg's wife had reportedly given Jackie the nickname Hitler, saying the dog's strange way of raising its paw and barking reminded her of the Führer. Newly discovered documents show Mr. Borg was interrogated by the Germans on suspicion of insulting Hitler. Attempts were also made to sabotage his business, the papers show. I mean, spot the difference between these two cases, can you?
Well, the Nazis didn't actually go as far as the SNP.
That is true, yeah.
They dropped the case.
The Nazis look like the moderates in the situation. I never thought I'd say that sentence. Oh, dear. So, yes. Talking of...
like the Nazis actually gave up. The SNP were like, not on our watch. Insult the Nazis on our watch, will you? Oh, comrades in arms.
For goodness sake. So, yes, of course... we have covered this before, but I thought I'd mention it in passing, is Scotland's Hate Crime Act. This is an article from November 2021. I thought it was the best contextualisation of how far Scottish politics has fallen. So this is also from The Economist, which I think is in my top 5 most hated leftist outlets as well. And even they're like, Scotland's Hate Crime Act will have a chilling effect on free speech.
Well, I appreciate just the opening line. It's like, great defender of free speech and great Scot, or Stuart Mill writing on liberty, and now we're discussing whether Alexa should be spying on you for the state. And the answer is yes.
So I'm going to read the first paragraph because I think it's actually, I never thought I'd say this, quite good. In On Liberty, the greatest defence of free speech ever penned, I don't necessarily agree with that, John Stuart Mill, the son of a Scottish philosopher and economist, condemned the assumption of infallibility, being so certain you are right that you take it upon yourself to settle a question for everyone else without allowing them to hear what can be said on the contrary side. If only today's Scottish politicians were listening. The country's new Hate Crime Act, which is expected to come into force in 2022, will make certain political arguments punishable by up to 7 years in jail. It creates an offence of stirring up hatred.
Political arguments.
Yes.
7 years in jail.
I wonder which country did that in the 1940s.
No, but just like, what the hell is wrong with you?
I know, yeah. It's... I mean, I'd like to say I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised.
Go to the West and be free.
So yes, where was I? It creates an offence of stirring up hatred, criminalising utterances that are considered inflammatory or insulting, even when they cause no actual harm and are not intended to incite a specific act. And it covers private conversations, even within your own home. So yes, this is proper secret police level stuff. I mean, I don't feel like my comparison with the Nazis here is unfair whatsoever. This is on the same level, isn't it?
With the speech suppression.
Yeah.
The thing here being that you are blaspheming against the SNP's holy political correctness by stirring up hatred, because their definition is literally anything that criticizes immigration could be stirring up hatred in their view.
And rather topically, actually, we had an article come out recently from Helen Dale, who does some great work. She explains how hate speech laws are communism's poisoned gift, and I really enjoyed reading this, actually, because it explains all of the legal framework which comes from the Soviet Union to set up these hate speech laws in the Western world. And the actual legal side of it is really interesting and well worth checking out, and you can read it for free on the website. So make sure to give it a read.
I don't know if she mentions in there the UN definition of free speech.
She does, yes.
Okay, I won't spoil it then. Go and check it out.
So I wanted to end on, because of course, just me saying that the S&P are Nazis, you know, it doesn't hold a lot of weight necessarily. But notable historian David Starkey, I think, has a bit more credibility when talking about history than I do, being a historian and all. So I thought I'd share a little clip from David Starkey, just a short one, where he compares the two. Let's have a look.
And you were in the papers at the weekend, weren't you, talking a lot about Scotland. You made some comparisons between the SNP and Nazis. Let me just remind our viewers who may not have had a chance to see the article, some of the quotes. What are the points of comparison? You say, well, we have a political movement that has a single historic explanation for why your country is facing such terrible oppression. It's either Versailles or the Treaty of Union. You have a particular group of people who are responsible for this. It is either the English or the Jews. Going on to say you have a symbol, the twisted cross, the saltire or the swastika. You have a passionate belief in economic self-sufficiency known by the Nazis as autarky and the Scots as oil. And you also have the propensity of your elderly and middle-aged male supporters to expose their knees. It's created a great deal of offence to many people in Scotland. Are you sorry for the offence it's caused?
No, of course not. We have this awful, idiotic PC politics. What we've got to recognise, I said nothing about Scotland. I said a great deal about the SNP. The SNP is a virulently nationalist party of a type that we have not had in Britain. It models itself on the continental extreme nationalist movements of the 1930s. That's when it's founded. It's time we call things by their proper names. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm not saying they're about to set up concentration camps. I'm not going to say that we're going to see a Kristallnacht of English businesses in Edinburgh. Of course we're not. But the resemblances are striking and are worrying. You know, we've spent years fussing in Britain about completely minor fringe things like the BNP and whatever. They are nothing compared with the Scottish Nationalist Party, which has seized control of a whole country and is pushing this kind of radical agenda. They talk about civic nationalism. The word civic is merely a fig leaf, or perhaps bearing in mind that it's Scotland, a jockstrap.
That is quite possibly the most agreeably based thing I've ever heard. It's great to hear it, isn't it, though? But he is 100% right. And yes, if you have any shadow of doubt, yes, the Scottish National Party are National Socialists and therefore Nazis.
If you appreciated that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content we have on the site, such as the Epoch series, the most recent one on William II. If you'd like to find out what else we're putting out, you can follow us on Getter at lotuseaters_com on Getter. Thank you and goodbye.